Hello, Radiant One, and a very big and a very warm welcome to Mastery, the show and podcast for brilliant spiritual beings just like you, having a human experience ready to ignite the mastery inherent in you, as well as grow and expand from within and wanting to lead with love in work, business, and life. Designed to activate the mastery already within you, here we merge the worlds of seen and unseen, magic and miracles with the mundane and the practical, spirituality with strategy, the energetic with the physical, and business, work, and life with a whole lot of love and soul. I'm your host, spiritual business coach, business developer, and radical love rebel Maria Serafina. And it is my deep honor, my great pleasure, and joy to share this episode with you. I serve business owners and leaders wanting to learn and be supported as you navigate leading with heart and soul. I do that through the Spiritual Leadership Academy, the Spiritual MBA, and one-on-one spiritual business coaching full of intuition and energetic alignment. You can find out more about everything on my website, mariaserafina.com. Having been called to this show and podcast, it is my strong guess that mastery is already inherent within you, Radiant One. If you'd like to expand and amplify that mastery, download the Mastery Activation I've created for you. Originally released within my paid membership, The Elevation, I've now made it available to all. Go to mariaserafina.com/MA or click the link in the description to receive it. Remember, if you enjoy Mastery, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share, or leave a review to amplify the energy and love being shared in these transmissions so they can reach more and more gorgeous radiant beings like you. Today I'm joined by the amazing Bera. Aga is a Kundalini yoga teacher and a very successful business owner. Originally from Poland, Aga now lives near Copenhagen in Denmark, but frequently travels holding retreats and trainings in both Europe and Bali. Aga's journey began with a deep love for sharing the yoga practices that she herself found invaluable. She's practiced yoga for over 20 years and teaching it for more than 15. She specializes in chakras, inner child healing, and self-love. Now, full disclosure, as you'll learn, Aga is a dear, dear client of mine, and my love for her runs deep. Over the years, I've been blessed to see her take the coaching and guidance I share and have shared with her, run with it, and build a very successful business with a strong and solid foundation based in community. It was such a joy to sit down with her. I found out things that I, despite us having worked together for so long, didn't know, and I hope you'll enjoy her wisdom. Here is our sacred conversation. Agnieszka, Aga, welcome to Mastery. Ever since you said yes to coming on Mastery, my heart has just been overflowing with love and proudness. And even now I'm starting to get emotional just for you being here. As we were just discussing before we went to record, we've known each other for 6-8 years,
Yes,
something like that, I think. And we've
6-7 years. Yes. Yeah.
We've had a working relationship. And I also mentioned how part of what makes my heart overflow with joy and my tears well up is that I have seen what you have done during that time. I have seen how you have taken what we've shared, what I've shared with you in our sessions, and then you've just built this beautiful, beautiful business that is touching so many people's lives each and every day. And I am so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that welcome. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Would you start in your own words? Would you start out by letting us know who you are and what you do? And then we'll dive in.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm also really feel honored that I can be here today with you. Yes, and I also was thinking about so many years we work together and still working. In the beginning, more intense. Now I sometimes back to you and have some refresh and nice. Yeah, I'm a yoga teacher. I'm teaching yoga, practicing yoga, practitioner and teacher since I think for 20 years, more than 20 years. I always see, I keep saying this for 20 years, and then year by year is more. So I have to update how many years I'm doing this. And I have my yoga business in Poland, even if I'm living in Scandinavia, in Denmark,
Yeah.
in Copenhagen. So exactly because of our talks, our work together, I have choose to work for my Polish market because I am Polish. Even if everything about yoga started here in Denmark and abroad, far away from Poland, I
Mhm.
decided to teach in Polish. So now I have yoga school, which is the, like online yoga school. And also I teach workshops and teacher trainings and everything for Polish people living in Poland and living around the world. Actually, I have people, but everybody talking Polish. So
Yeah.
this is what I could say about me. Also, I'm mother, I'm wife, I friend, and things like this. I
Yes.
think I have sometimes when people ask me what are you doing, it's difficult because my life is more like what I'm doing is what that I'm living also. So of
Mm.
course it's my work, but it's also my life. So it's
Mm.
like I
Yes.
connect this together.
Yes, yes. And as you probably mentioned, because you mentioned moving to the Polish market, and that was in well, not one suggestion. It was in a session we had, and we were talking about the business, and I know how brilliant you were. I know how dedicated and all of these things. And then when I noticed or saw the potential in the Polish market, that was my recommendation or my suggestion is you do the Polish market. And that's what you've done. That's what you've I mean, it's again, it's massive and it's beautiful. Um, so how did your journey with spirituality begin? Like, were you born open, or was it something that came later, or and what happened, if anything? Like, so tell us, how did your journey with spirituality begin?
Yes, this is very actually very interesting, I think, because since I was child, I think I was already spiritual. And then, I come from Poland,
Yeah.
which where is this, I could say, religion is very strong, and but my family was not. So actually, my parents were a little bit against the institution of, church, which I am so grateful. But still, even if they were also not so spiritual, I think there was not nothing in my home about going to the church, talking about the God, not at all. At least maybe now I'm thinking that could be that it was in the subconscious, but we didn't talk about this.
Mm.
And I don't know how it has. Actually, my mom told me that when I was very, very small, sometimes when we were passing a church, I wanted to always go inside. And my mom said, no, 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 we're not. And then one day was like rainy day. And then she said, okay, we have to go inside to,
Shelter,
protect
yeah.
ourselves because it was the really bad weather. And my mom, she said, when we came in, I have started to, I act like I knew where I am. So she get like, wow, she could feel something that, that this was like, I knew this, and it was strange. And then I also, but that after, I don't remember that situation because I was very small. And then after, I only remember that since I was very, very young, I kind of connect with God. I don't know how to say this. And I was not thinking it, but I remember that feeling like, wow, it's so nice to be connected and to have
Mm.
that, because I realized that everything what I asked was happening to me. And
Mm.
then I could kind of connect, And I
Mm.
even remember that feeling like I was having, and already that time, like, wow, I would love to that other people could experience this as I experienced, like how I could share this with them. So this was something.
Mm.
And then after, yeah, then I think it stayed with me. But I was a little bit like, but I get always this connection. Like my best friend was there, like somewhere, I don't know where. And then, yeah, then I started when I was young student. I I found book of yoga that one of my colleague, my friend in the apartment, she was living with me. She had a yoga book, and I
Oh.
don't know why. I just keep take this book, and then I just like, okay, what is this? And I start to do these positions and breathing, I didn't make this correctly, but it came the same, like, oh, I could feel. So immediately I could feel by doing this that I was connecting. Yeah, so I think that was. And then I am, yeah, this was always, I think, in me, and I always was, I'm still like connecting, and what is very nice, I do this so many years, and I can feel like every day, maybe not every day, but often I do yoga, meditation, and then I find something new. Like I discover new, like I connect more. I don't know how to explain this.
Mm.
It's not something we just do once, but it's
Yeah.
just like we continue and
Yeah.
learn more, or we go deeper and deeper.
Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful. And it's wonderful because this is something that we've never talked about. Like we've talked business,
Yeah.
coaching and business, but we've never talked about this. So this is such a beautiful thing to know about you. When did when did the you mentioned that you had the urge to share this with other people, and I wonder, like, when did this start for you to move from this is just something I want to share to actually move into a business or a profession, I suppose? Because in the beginning it was more a profession or a job. Now it's more, like you say, it's you've expanded it into a life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, because it sounds maybe now that I become a missionary and I was going and from
Yeah.
from my friends and
Yeah.
sharing with them about God. No, it was not like this, not at all. It was more like I keep this for myself, and I was just I have never share this with people. I have a need to share. I was more thinking like it would be nice that it would be so, I remember it would be so great if all around people could feel what I feel, because I could feel this
Mm.
protection. And I was like, wow, it's so nice. I
Mm.
wish everybody could have this. But I have not been doing anything about this. Only when I started to teach yoga, it happened to me that I moved to Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Actually, no, still, because from Poland, I moved to Italy. First, I was living in Italy, yes.
Yeah.
And then there, I started to teach Pilates and yoga.
Okay.
And I could feel like little bit, I start to share, because I already was doing myself this yoga. So it was more like I was sharing my practice with people.
Mm.
And then I could notice that people were really like attracted to that. And also that I have heard from the beginning, like they get very inspired. So I could feel I could inspire them. And this was something that I have noticed very early, like that by what I'm doing, people are getting very inspired. So and then I remember also one time my friend told me, like, Aga, I don't know, every time when I talk with you, when I am with you, you inspire me so much. I get so much energy from you. And so I noticed this. And
Mm.
then I was keeping doing this, teaching,
Mm.
teaching, teaching. And one time I also, one of my teachers, she explained me how it works. So she said
Mm.
to me, like, it works like it's not you, but you are connecting with some source and you
Mm.
are the channel. So when you're
Mm.
connecting this, it's
Mm.
actually through you, you are like a channel of
Mm.
this spirituality. So this is why people feel good around you, or maybe when you do this, because you are channeling them. And then I got
Mm.
like even it was even easier for me to use this, because
Yeah.
I have and I understood how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you moved from Italy and then you came to Denmark or to Copenhagen. And I mean, I suppose because that's when we met, but because I know that you were uh, question. So what did you find was challenging or not struggling, but like what did you find was, if anything, was challenging about spirituality in the beginning?
Mm. It was maybe not challenging for me. It was not challenging because actually I could understand this easily and I could not explain. So when I was teaching yoga, I didn't talk about spirituality yet.
Mm.
And it was more like by doing this, I think by being with people,
Yes.
and maybe some people could feel this, and some people were still doing yoga just for physical exercise, and it's
Yes.
completely great. So it was not challenging for me because I never feel like to push to have this. It was more like it
Yes.
came step by step. But I remember also that, I did, I was doing yoga, Ashtanga yoga, and also this kind of more physical yoga. And then also I say to my teacher here already in Copenhagen, I say to her, I'm doing all this position, but I miss something in that practice. And then she said, oh, you miss meditation. Yeah, I know what you mean. You are on that, so she also said, you miss to connect more. And then she teach me how to start to meditate. So it was maybe this, but it was not challenge. What I could say in my life, and still now, it's happening exactly themselves. It's like step by step I'm going deeper, and it's so great because it's like coming to me when I'm ready.
Yeah. And in that, there is I want to highlight that there's a level of surrender, and I also want to highlight the level of the lack of push or forcing and just allowing. For personally, that's not, for me, I've felt challenged by things. I didn't have this same experiences of you of growing up and feeling connected. I was more questioning everything. Like, there was a questioning for me, and it was also for me stepping into the spiritual or the world, like claiming myself as a spiritual business coach has been, a challenge. Because I feel like we're being met with what other people think of me and what I do, when it's really like very, very mundane and very, very strategic. And yes, it's also spiritual in nature, but sometimes I think I laugh because I think people, if they experience it, they would probably laugh at how normal it really is. Like that is, but so you, because one of the things that keep coming up for me is like, because I know that you were teaching yoga, you were doing that, and I know that you were all over Copenhagen and you were teaching classes. When did the spark of your own business arise? Like, do you remember? Like, do you know, when was it like, I want to do this? When did that happen?
Yeah, I teach yoga here from the beginning. When I moved here, I started to teach yoga in different fitness places, fitness clubs and things like this. And but actually, it was more in the beginning. Even I was doing myself yoga and sharing sometimes. I teach also the other things like Pilates and things. And I remember that also they asked me like, when I would teach yoga, and I was thinking a little bit like, I'm not sure because this is something I do myself. I wanted to keep this for myself. When you start to work so I wanted to, and then, but there really was need to do this in this place I was working. So I said, okay, I start. So it started like this, that I start to work with spirituality. But also I can tell you, because now it came to me because you say difficulty. Yes, I think it's a little bit difficult in Scandinavia, in Denmark especially. I don't know Scandinavia and Denmark, because here notice people a little bit are afraid for to God and spirituality.
Yes.
And I can guess why, because very often people immediately connect when we say God or spirituality with the institution of church, with being, which is not, because I don't believe this is, of course it can be, because somebody can go to the church and be religious and also spiritual, but it's not. And even the word God or praying or things like this, we have a kind of allergy, like, no, this is not I want. And because we have been experienced, unfortunately, still experiencing, and we have experienced since our generation, not even the past generation, a lot of problems because of the church, different religion words and things like this. So they don't want this. So people here, I think they're very much like assertive, like no spirit.
Which is actually interesting, because Denmark is one of the only countries where you have a state church. Like, we have a state religion, which is, Protestantism. Like, it's the church. Like, anybody born in Denmark is automatically, quote unquote, a member of the church, even if they belong to a different religion. Then they have to sign themselves out of it. Which, and one of the things that you mentioned, like when you say connection and communication, I hear God and prayer. Like that's like those are the two things. And yes, we have like you say, an allergy towards it. And I think
Yeah.
maybe that's what was for me in the beginning was really difficult when like to and in the end I just had to come out and say, I love God. I love and again, I also love Jesus, like Yeshua, but
Yeah.
not the Christian Jesus.
Yeah.
I love the original one. So yes, so sorry, thank you. I cut you off, but thank you for sharing it because the connection, I think that's maybe what I think that what people are craving now is connection. So go ahead, I cut you off. So you
No,
were teaching
this was
yoga. Yeah, yeah.
exactly, this is what it's very important. And I think that most people have difficulty to to see the difference between this. So
Yes,
this is what is the challenge, I think.
yes,
And this
yes,
is something I didn't have. I could feel immediately the difference. Even if I was going to
yeah,
I actually was going to the church in
yeah,
Poland.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
for me it was like, now I do yoga every day, and I do, especially Sundays, I have my rituals that is a little bit longer because
Yes,
of the time. This is a special day
yeah,
that
yeah,
I laughed at. Okay,
yeah,
when I was child, I was going to the church. Now I do meditation that is 62 minutes
yeah,
in the morning. But
yes,
then I remember when I was going there, I actually didn't listen because this was always so boring what they were saying, blah, blah, blah. But
yeah,
for me, and it was a little bit kind of like, oh, I have to go. But I had this feeling like when I went there and then I could feel, and it was like this energy from that place.
yes, yes,
But unfortunately, at that time, nobody teach me. And this, I was maybe connected and feel, but I was not confirm about this. And this is what is most religions like saying
yes,
that the God is someplace. Spiritually, you have to go someplace.
yes.
Instead, that we find that we have in us.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
And also two things. Number one, a lot of churches are built on sacred sites, like ancient sacred sites. So that's number one. There's an energy there before. And number two is also there is a sacredness that I have found because I enjoy churches as well for the energy of it because I think that that's because the intention and the prayer and the energy and the love that people pour into the space and the area is always there. So it's so I agree, but I also like you said, God is in us. Like there's no separation. There's no yeah. Go ahead.
Exactly. And this is also what is difficult for us to feel, because now when I
Yes.
teach, and especially from
Yes.
these different forms of yoga, I found one that is Kundalini yoga, and
Yes.
Kundalini yoga helped me a lot. Like I could feel immediately like, oh, it was, I really, even more, I could say, this is what I can feel. And when I
Yes.
share with people that form of yoga, this is what also they tell me, like because of the techniques we're using,
Yeah.
really feel this connection, and they say, I now we understand what it
Yeah.
means to feel inside, to be
Yes.
connected inside.
Do you also
But
find that it's hard to put it into words? Because for me, the experience of connection and of God and of oneness or everything, sometimes it's so mind-blowing that you can't express it with human words. It's an experience, it's a feeling, it's a sensation more than
yeah.
anything, and it's energy really.
Yeah, I also feel this is different to explain, and more I'm doing. I know you're also doing
Yeah.
meditating every day. We're meditating every day. So when I do this thing, then you understand this, and sometimes it's really difficult to express.
Yes.
Because I know why, is because, and again, it will sound very spiritual, but I can feel this, like we're living here on the earth, like
Yeah.
as human being, and as a human being, we are separate from this. And there is, from the yogi perspective, it's like this is the passage for us. We are just here for the
Mhm.
moment to learn something,
Mhm.
to be to try this kind of act, how it will be. And as a human
Mhm.
being, we have difficulty to connect. So this is why
Mhm.
spirituality, I understood now, it's like we are spiritual, but by being here on the earth, we
Mhm.
kind of separate for the moment. And
Mm.
by being here, our goal is to connect again. So it's
Yeah.
not to find something, to not to become something, but to actually remember that we actually
Yes.
already are. And
Yes.
this is what is
Yes.
a difficult, and maybe many people live all their
Yes.
life and they don't connect with this thing.
Yeah.
Some
I like to say that
because the we're
yeah.
human, we don't have to, like how, because it's so, and we need to, here on the
Yes.
earth, we're human, we need to understand, we have to see, we
Yes.
have to have a proof, and
Yes.
how to, yeah.
Yeah. I like to say it's like lifting veils. You're not exactly like you're saying, it's not about becoming something that we're not, it's about remembering who we are in truth. And we do that by lifting the veil. So I do energy work like in a different way than you, but I do energy work, and it's about veils you lift, the clearer you can see, the clearer you can sense, the clearer you can hear and feel and touch, like the clearer you become, and the
Yeah.
more aligned and connected like you are in the most mundane of times, right? When you're sitting on the bus, or when I find myself, I remember back in the 80s when I saw these Hare Krishna people on Strøget, that's this walking street in Copenhagen. And they would be like these happy people that were like, and I would think that they were crazy. And now I think that for me, I have arrived at one of those places where I think, and that's okay. People can consider me crazy because the joy that I experience, the pleasure, the satisfaction is just like hallelujah. That's what it is. So yeah. So yeah.
But
Go
I
ahead.
think it's, I think it's changed a lot now. It's like when we
Yes.
go to 80s, there was like exactly some of the people. And then what was also because it was extreme, right?
Yes.
Because if we understood what they want to share and why they are happy, we will understand like it's normal. But because of the way how they dress, how they're, and
Yes.
in that way, and what I really like now, and also this is why I choose to share yoga and meditation the way I'm doing, to not make this kind of extra, because Kundalini yoga that I teach, if you
Mm.
Google Kundalini, you also see people with turbans and really, and then somebody can say, wow, this is not me, this is too much, like
Yeah.
this is crazy. And it was not necessary to do this way, so we can
Mm.
be normal. And now I see, look how world changes, so many people meditating, like my son is almost 18, and then for them it's normal to talk, maybe not, they're not meditating, I don't say that they're meditating
Mm.
every day, but if I'm doing something or I'm saying or talking, they're already interested about this subject,
Yes.
or
Yes.
maybe
Yes.
more
Yeah.
people doing
Yeah.
this.
I have this with my nephews as well. They're very open to the different things that I do. It's like, whoa, like, yeah. So yeah, no, I
Normal,
get
yes,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. So when did hold on, surrender? Yeah. So I just want, there's something that I wanted to highlight in terms of what you said earlier. Um, because when I first took my coach training, I was like very like, I thought, this is going to save the world. Like I'm just going to coach everybody. And even without asking people permission. And I one time my sister was like, I would like to talk to my sister and not be coached. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and which was, I was really happy that she said that, because it made me realize, oops, I am trying to coach everyone, which you shouldn't be doing. And and over the last, I suppose, probably 20 years as well for me ish, or longer, the one of the things that I have found is that you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot force it to drink. And people will, when people are ready. You never know when someone is ready or not. And it's not even my job is to be the quote unquote best version of myself, to be in alignment, to be connected, to do the practices that feels right and true for me. And what's right and true for me is not necessarily right or true for someone else. So I often see in the world that people are like, this is the holy grail, this is the one thing. Like, and even in energy work, the method that I was originally trained in and that I have now expanded into my own sort of modality, I don't say that that's the only thing, like, because I think that there's this quote where it says like there's one source but many DJs, and however people find their way there is not up to me. Like if you resonate with what I say and share, come join me. If it's Aga, if it's someone else, like the importance is not that you choose one way, it's that you find your way,
Yeah,
right? Good.
exactly. I have the same. And I did, it was, since I started, I think, teach yoga and things like this, like I say, I never were pushing people. I never was like going around and changing and talking about this.
No.
What was very helpful for me was this, that I had always been around. I had, my best friends. I don't have like many people around me, but
Yeah.
I always look for the people who I
Yeah.
can share with this, who are also interested in that subject. So it's like,
Yeah.
but for example, it's not that I'm sitting at home with my family and I'm constantly talking about this. I think that anyway, maybe I'm sharing by being myself. So this is
Yes.
for sure. And then
Yes.
I think it's normal. I think I'm talking normal,
Yes.
but people say, oh, you are a little bit like, but
Yes.
not the way that I'm telling that, oh, you should do this and this. And even
No.
now when I am finding something great, like even maybe this is not completely connected with yoga, but I find some inspiring book or something, and I recently something was that I was very hooked, like, and then to my best friend I say to her like, and and so I say to her like, well, listen, I don't want to push you at all, but this book, and I say to her like, because also I know that she is interested in that subject, and I
Yeah.
say, don't think that I tell you, but really, I say to her like, I have read this book, I really recommend you. And then I knew that I can say her, and also to say her like, if you don't want, don't feel like, but this was the only, but I know who I can do this.
Yes.
I will not go around and then maybe I will say to people, this was something inspiring me, but I
Yes.
don't say, so you do understand this is different. It's
Yes.
different.
Yes. Yes. How do you, because I know that it might be difficult for you to even distinguish it, but what were the practices like? Because you've created a very successful business, and what was that journey like for you? Because I know, I mean, it not everything has just been in flow. Like there's been challenges, and what was the journey like for you in terms of from, I suppose, when we started and then to where you are today, which is, I know, 8 years. But tell us how that was for you, and how spirituality, if it was a part of that.
This is funny because now again we're coming to the same, because actually I will connect what we have just said. Yes, it was like, I think it was like, even if I didn't push people and won't going around and change them, I could feel like, wow, it changed my life. I feel so good. These practices that I'm doing, they are great. I would love to share with people. So you see, again, anyway,
Yes.
I say, but it
Yeah.
was not that I was telling them. I say, so I
Oh,
create place where I start to teach. But
yeah.
the difference about this is like I was sharing also on social media. So first
Mm,
of all, I teach physical classes in Denmark. But
yeah.
then when I start to think like, oh, I want to explore in Poland, and this was
Yes.
also thanks to you, because we have been talking about this, how to do,
Yeah.
I say, then I will just share with people what I'm doing. So, I was sharing my passion. I think the most
Mm,
important for me was this, that I was so passionate about this. And
mm,
and that time then I start to share exactly that form of yoga I teach. This was not popular at all.
mm,
Nobody was doing. Everybody was doing the more popular kind of yoga.
yeah.
Even my boyfriend now is my husband, but he told me that time, why you teach that kind of yoga? This is a little bit, this is a little bit weird. Why you not going to the one that is more popular? You will get much more. And I told
Oops.
him, but I cannot do this because this is not what I'm doing. I have to be. So for me, the most important was that I was authentic to myself,
Yes.
and I really
Yes. Yes.
believed, and I say, and so I was never focusing about this, how many people will do. I was more focusing about, I love to do this and I want
Yes.
to share this.
Can you
And
just hold on? Can you just repeat that? Because that's one of the things that I am so tired of is when people are like, I want to touch 1 million people's lives. It's like, but 1 million people is 1 million. It's 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. You touch people individually. Sorry, go ahead because this is
Yeah, exactly. And this was always something I didn't focus so much until since, and even now, I had a webinar 2 days ago. And then only because my team that I have now, they told me like, Aga, remember to mention how many people have signed it for the webinar because we have many people. And I say like, okay, let me check how many because I did it. And then I see that number. Wow, it's a lot. And then I ask them like, is that always we have so many people or how was last time? Because I don't, of course I see people who are signed on live, but I don't know so many. And I don't. So this is, I'm happy to hear. I was like, wow, but I even don't know if it's a lot or not. So I said, this is a lot, right? Or how much we had last time? Because I was so surprised that they said to me, it was a lot. So this was never focused on me,
Mm,
but I like it to play little with numbers. Then I say to sometimes like, okay, so I'm creating that new class and then let's say 350 people will join. And it was just more like game, like,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
my assistant, she said to me, Aga, you always say the number and it happened, But it was never like, and exactly, it was not like, I have to have 350. It was like, let's see, because I was feeling like, what I feel, which number I see, this was this number, this will be this number. So it was more like this, if I thinking about the
And
numbers.
it's
But
about
I
the
was,
energy.
yeah,
It's about the energy, the
yeah.
play and the energy, because that's different. If you're like, I want to have million people and like, oh, let's see what happens. Like there's a playfulness. That's what I've experienced with you. There's this playfulness in terms of, oh, let's see what happens. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's because what I have discovered, it's amazing. And I think, when we wish something and I mean, this is not something I have discovered. I have learned, and it's
Yeah.
when I tell you this, for sure you know this also. So when we want something and we're going from that position, I have to have this because I don't have, I need this,
Yeah.
then it's not working. It's very hard. But for example, now, let's say I'm so grateful. I really have found nice house. We're living here. I'm so happy. I
Yes.
love my house.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I dream about one house with the view on the sea. I would love to have this house
Mm.
that I see the ocean.
Yeah.
So, but when I'm thinking about the dream, I don't think like, oh, I have to have this house with ocean. If not, my life will be not so
Mm.
successful. And why everyone has and not me? No, no, no,
Mm.
no, no, no. I
Mm.
think like, wow, I love my house. And I even look, I'm on the window of my garden and I
Mm.
love my garden. And then
Mm.
I sometimes thinking, wow, one day with ocean house, I don't know, maybe I will miss this garden anyway, but then I can also do get the garden there. So I don't think in the way like I have to have. It's more like I already
Yes.
think like I have that
Yes.
part now.
Yes. Yes.
So this
And
is
that way you are, because I have another pet peeve, and that is quote unquote manifestation. I am not very, I think that while I understand the act of manifestation, it's gotten to the point where we're trying to make our will done rather than thy will done. And I think, or at least this is my experience, the more energy work that I have done, the more I've released, the more I've aligned, the more in alignment I am, the more things that are meant for me flows into my life automatically. I don't have to sit down and write 300 times I want a house. So it's funny you mentioned water, right? Because the place where I live now, I overlook a lake, and I've always wanted to be near water. I overlook, like from my bedroom window, I can see a lake, I can see water every day, and I can go to the water every day. And I always wanted that, but it didn't even realize it till like I'd lived here for a year or two. I'm like, that's what I wanted. I wanted a house. It's
yeah.
like, that's what I
Yes.
have. So, okay. In terms of, because one thing that came up for me is because I know, like, I remember when we were, in session, and we were, we you had so many ideas and you were unable to just yourself bring everything to life. And part of what we were sharing was about like you having your team in place, and I know that today you have a wonderful team as who support you. So can you share about number one, what was the process like for you? Because I know that you're like me, you're slightly, recovering control free. Like you're sort of like you like to like I have and so how was that to call in that team? And then how is it to manage or support the team? And how is it supporting your business today to have that team? Because I don't think that you could have done what you've done with your business without them. Like it sounds like they've really
Yeah.
truly elevated your business, right?
So I need to share this. This will be but one first step. First part of that story, it was you actually, because I remember always that we talk, and then at that time I was still first of all I was teaching in fitnesses, bicycle, going 3-5 times a day to different places where so that, and I say, and then I really wish my dream was to work for Polish market. Then I get recommended you as a coach. I said, okay, I need coach. And then even my bookkeeper said to me like, Aga, you cannot do this. This is too crazy. You don't have at all money enough to do that kind of investment. And then that time I was like, wow, somebody is trying to say, and I said to him, no, stop. This is something I know is going to work and I'm going to do. So it was like really important for me to immediately, because what I want to say, we have so many, how we say, these beliefs in the head, and even people are telling us these beliefs. So in this, he of course, I don't know, I'm sure he didn't make this with purpose, but he could stop my, my how say, because of his beliefs.
Yeah, your progress.
We
Yeah,
have to
your
work.
expansion. Yeah.
And then you told me, yeah, and then you do, and then by the way, I remember when you told me about to have one day off, and then I was like thinking inside me like, no, I cannot do this. And you say you have to, and then yeah, I will do one day off. No, I cannot do. But anyway, and then you told me like one day you will have, that you tell me like, you didn't tell me like, wow, that one day you have team. You were so sure like, yeah, but in the future when you have your team, you will do this. And I was like, I listen to you, and I say, she is a little bit crazy. Okay, of course, this is my biggest dream, but I didn't even think to dream about this. And I was thinking, no, she really believe, I was thinking that you have too much, you think about me more than I am. So I was thinking, wow, she really think I am that person. I have team. This will be great, but not me. I am not good enough to never come to this. And but I was listening to you a little bit like, yes, yeah. And I was thinking, she's crazy. For sure, never will happen to me. And then it happened very soon later, my assistant. And then when I think, so do you understand? You have, and I noticed this often that this time you, and sometimes I hear something, I read something,
Yes.
and in my head it's like, no, this is not possible. But in this inside, like saying like, yes, it will happen. No,
Yes.
no, this is not. Yes. And then I say, okay, I know it will happen, but I'm saying still no, because I don't believe that it's really true. Do you understand what I'm saying?
100%. Because that's the thing that happens all the time with clients. One of the things for me in terms of spirituality is I have to have when I'm the channel, it's not me. I am just sharing what I see and sense, but so when I shared that with you with the team, I knew that was like
Yeah.
it wasn't. I I can't tell you where it comes from. I just know that it's there. And I also want to emphasize, and you're not the only one this has happened to. Like this is clients over and over, like because that's where my connection, where my channeling happens is when clients come to me, I see their businesses and I can tell them, quote unquote, what to do or where to go, but they're the ones who have to build it. And again, you took that, even though you thought it was crazy, which I love.
Not in that way, because I'm also crazy, but it was more like, really. And I was thinking, yeah, you have for sure so many clients. Also, I know you had clients in
Yeah.
US, And I was thinking, okay, she think I am the same, and I am not, unfortunately. But this was what I had. What I want to say, I have, and I know everyone, we have so many limited beliefs in our head, in our subconscious mind.
Yes.
By you have been kind of you have put that light on that belief, and then I'm like, oh no, not possible.
Yes.
But what happened after is, then I went to start to teach in Polish, and then I realized, first of all, I also realized that I was completely different when I started to teach in Polish. I was more confident when I start to teach in Polish.
Yes.
But then I realized, like, I was starting to dream, and again, my dream was not to have a team because they would make a bigger business, but I was thinking, wow, I dream about this to have because I really like to work from home. And I was, so more for me was like this kind of dream, like if I have a team, we will be a team. And I was like, I would love to build a team and create also that they have good job, and my team will have a good salary. So I was like, it didn't have them, and I was like, I can already see. And I remember also I have follow some people who have built that kind of things, and I was so like, wow, I would the same, and then I would take care of my team will have. So for me was more about this. I didn't think in the way like I have to have team because they have to make much more money for me. This was more like to creating this kind of my community, my team. And even now I have to say, in my team we have team, and then I really take care of this, that we have good energy around. And I want to be, of course, we are not friends, but I want to feel with my team. If there is someone who I don't completely have a connection, like kind of, we are not on the same, say,
level, like there's not the same frequency.
Frequency, exactly. And that person can be perfect with the job. I really prefer to not have that person on my team, because I want my team to have this,
Coherence.
good vibe. So this was what created, I think, that. And again, now this team doing great job. Like when I see what they do, and sometimes it's something creating, I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable. So, and of course, could be some, and also I think for people, which I was never, and I think was also thanks to you, I was never afraid to kind of invest. For me, sometimes it's like, yes, I have that person, this person helped me. And some other person told me like, no, you don't need that person. You can do yourself. Why you want to spend money for this? You can, in the beginning, you should focus and you do yourself and you save. I feel like, no, actually, I'm happy to not save on this one, to invest in that one. So you know what I mean? That is like, I was always courage to put like, no, it will actually create more. Oh, this was something was easy for me. And I know that is, again, limited beliefs in many people to say, no, especially the kind of business we do. I do, you do. It's like, no, maybe it's not necessary that somebody is just doing this. I can do myself. Why I should, invest in this?
And through that, you're touching, like you're changing not only your students or your clients' lives, but you're also changing the lives of your people or your employees. Like that's, again, beautiful. There's so many more things that we could go into. There's one final question that keeps popping in, and I don't know, I don't think I've asked this question before on the podcast, but in terms of mastery, like how do you view mastery? Like what's mastery to you?
First of all, that I am working every day with myself. So I am like, for me, this is very important. It's like I'm teaching, I create my company, but I'm still a student. And in my company, it's like we're respectful. So it's not me like, oh, everybody has to do this. So this is something. But what is my mastery? I think is like every day finding out that how many things I discover myself. And recently I'm always looking for some new thing, like new, like I still I'm keeping connecting with my God, or how we say spirituality, that it guide me to my master. And I can see that the mastery is not happening, it's not ending. We can find more and more and more. And sometimes I realize like, wow, I finding my shadows. For example, recently I find so many shadows I have. And then I could say, wow, this is how I can call myself to be master when I have these shadows. And then I find out like, okay, these shadows I always had and I will always have. So my mastery is, for example, now that I realize these shadows and that they're part of it. So it's like, I think by doing my own practice, this is what doing my own practice, I master every day. And then I've mastered this, that I am also here as a human being and I make mistakes and so this is, but very important for me, that part of me is to develop myself, to learn something always new. And I don't do this because I have to do, but I find some new passions, and it change. But this is changing constantly what I am passionate.
Yes.
And this is so funny because when I'm sharing with my yoga school, I always share what I'm passionate. And it was like when I was passionate about doing all the juicing and cleansing, everybody was doing this juicing and cleansing. Now I'm doing something, and I can feel like if somebody tell me like, Aga, can you make a juicing now? And I will feel like, I'm not sure, then they will not work because I have to. So it's something what I master, working on, then I share.
And again, I love how, because there's a flexibility and a fluidity. I think that for a long while, I don't know, maybe even with coming from religion and then moving into spirituality, I think that we have to let go of the rigidity as well. Like we think that it's just one thing for the rest of our lives, but that's not who we are. As you say, we're human beings, spiritual beings having a human experience. And I like to say it's like it's a journey through life. Like you're always ever expanding or changing. And I also love what you said in terms of shadows, because we all have things and we all make mistakes. We can then say we're sorry, and there's also things that, quote unquote, that are with us throughout the entire life that we then know, oh, I have this issue or this challenge. And when it happens, I have to shower myself with more love and acknowledgement and be okay with, I'm not perfect. Well, that's not true. Actually, we are perfect because we are part, like if you look at nature, we are part of nature. So we are, quote, you are brilliant and perfect as you are. And I love that take on mastery, how it's always ever evolving and allowing yourself to evolve.
Yeah, and allowing ourselves, for example, I find out something I was believing 2 years ago, and then I completely changed now. And then people say, wow, you changed. You have been saying something else. And I say, yes. And I don't regret. That time it was like I was believing was the best. But now, because I master and I find new something, I'm doing that right now. And it's okay. And maybe for sure it will change again. Maybe I will back to that what we were doing before. But for now, this is something so I'm not kind of shame about to change. For example, the way I'm eating, this was something like, you have been doing this and now you're doing this. Yes, and this is okay. I don't regret,
No, because and that's again important to highlight, because the more you do that, the more you allow yourself to continuously expand and experience more satisfaction, more mastery. And I also want to highlight that, because one of the things when I named this podcast Mastery, I was sort of like, oh, mastery, like, ooh. But it's exactly what you say. You have both the master and the student. It's about owning, yes, I have worked with this consistently for over 20 years. I am a master. I am very good at what I do. And I am also the student. I am also curious. I am also open to whatever comes my way. I'm open to change and evolving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you want to share before we say goodbye for now?
I wanted to say thank you to you because you have helped all the things I was sharing about my business. And I share about you many times when people asking me how I started business, because you were that person who were like, I could feel like when we were doing our coaching, or my coaching with you, I was doing, then it's like I had this inside, and I had you like this kind of lighting me. Look this, and yes, yes, yes. So I can feel I could have this in me, but I will never find this, or maybe I will find, but slower, or in the other way. So it was like, and I still now, sometimes I write to you like, I need to meet with you. I have. So it's always this kind of. So thank you so much for your help. It's helped me so much, and I could not recommend more. I always recommend you when people ask like, oh, I need someone who I'm like, yes, and exactly. I really love that connection. Your approach as a coach with spirituality. That it's with energy work, and yeah, that was great. So this is what I want to add. I know that sounds maybe like I'm doing advertising, not at all. This is what I always share, and thank you.
You know what? I'm going to pay you after because I was like, it sounds like this was paid, but
no. It was really my heart. I say, and yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Aga. And to everyone listening or watching, know that in the description, I will leave the links to Aga's site and social media and all of that so that you can go check her out, especially if you're Polish, because all of this stuff is in Polish. So go ahead and check that out. Thank you so much for having been part of it. And everyone listening, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That is what I had for you in today's episode of Mastery with Maria Serafina. I hope it served you well. For all the deeds and details, click the link in the description and help me spread the love of this transmission by sharing it with a friend or on social media, or leave me a comment or review. Have a wonderful day. God bless.